It's Kevin McCullough on AM 970, The Answer.
You're listening to Kevin McCullough Radio, Big News Day, as we talk about breaking news as it happens, what it means, and why it matters.
Kevin McCullough, and here we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Obliterating confusion.
Amplifying truth.
And pursuing clarity.
Kevin McCullough, now.
So what exactly happened in Charlottesville over the weekend? A terrifying series of events that ended in the deaths of 3 Americans and a nation more utterly divided than ever before. Or is it? That's the conversation right now on Kevin McCullough Radio.
Binge thinking.
Kevin McCullough.
Something interesting is happening with this.
Kevin McCullough, let me start with you.
I found this thing at townhall.com by Kevin McCullough. The big dog has come out of nowhere.
Kevin McCullough,
I just want to help people think.
nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
He's playing the role as well as anybody could.
Kevin McCullough is a nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
The odds are he's right.
It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
That's the president this morning from the White House doing what his critics just were beside themselves with anger that he didn't seem to do in their minds on Saturday. I disagree with that characterization, Jennifer Rubin. I disagree with that characterization, Evan McMullen. And for every one of the other opportunists that were out there throwing bombs at the president in light of what was already a very tense and polarizing circumstance, I felt like what the president tweeted on Saturday was inclusive of the KKK and the white supremacists. But just to be clear, he clarified more greatly today in the Oval Office, not in the Oval Office, West Wing, I guess. But he made it without any cloud over it that the white supremacists he does not hold in any type of affection at all. In fact, says that they are evil, which is what I think most Americans looking at their television sets over the weekend thought as well. But was there something else at play in what happened in Charlottesville? See, this was really a cause for great vexation in my own life because, number one, I did not have the access to my immediate media resources that I normally do. And so I was getting updated on different parts of the story a little bit slower than some of the other portions of the country. And as I was, it kept just kind of jumping out at me that this was not just a bunch of white supremacist racists mad about a statue. That in reality, there was a much bigger play being made in Charlottesville, and it just happened to be that that's where the tension was, the torch was lit and the tension was set on fire. And someone that articulated it quite well, and in fact has the lead story on the Federalist.com today. And again, I've been telling you for weeks now, the Federalist is one of those sites I am turning to more and more often. Of course, we at Salem Media love the townhall.com and hotair.com, but right there in my top 3 that I check every morning, the Federalist.com. And John Daniel Davidson is a senior contributor to the Federalist. And John, we've never had you on the show, but I appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming on. Talk to me about why you classified what happened in Charlottesville as a fight not between supremacists and Antifa or any others, but a fight between the tribal right and the tribal left and intended to polarize America. Explain what you mean.
Yeah, I think that what we saw in Charlottesville was pretty clearly a case of staged political violence. The white supremacist group led by Richard Spencer actually held a similar kind of tiki torch rally in Charlottesville a couple months back. But not very many people came, and it didn't really get the kind of attention I think they were hoping for. And so they came back a little bit more organized for another round this time. And they made sure the night before to march through the University of Virginia campus around the Thomas Jefferson statue, which sort of primed the pump for their rally at the Robert E. Lee statue the next day. But it was all sort of a piece of political violence theater. And, and then that's true for the white supremacist groups, but it's also true for the Antifa extreme leftist groups that showed up with their riot gear on and, ready to wage some street fights. That was the point.
John, I want to pause you on that point, because it really astounded me that you had, supposedly this staged group of people that were carrying the tiki torches on Friday night. I saw some of the tweets and some of the cell phone footage, and I saw some that were commenting on it. But it looked like a few dozen people to me. It didn't look like something that, in other words, basic law enforcement, if they're there, they can handle this. It's not going to get out of hand. We all have weird groups that like to march sometimes. So I just kind of wrote it off. The next day, to have the size of force that Antifa had, and Black Lives Matters and other people that had people in that group there, something in my head went, how did they get there that fast? The guy that drove the car supposedly was a resident of the state of Ohio. I mean, to your point, this had to be something that they knew was coming and they were ready to pounce on.
Absolutely. And the fact that there weren't thousands of people there, as you say, it looked like a small group, 100 people maybe on the Saturday march. Less than that looked like on Friday march. This is a very, very small movement, and neither of these groups, the extreme right or the extreme left, represents any significant political constituency in American politics. These people don't have power. They don't wield power. But one way to exercise sort of an outsized power on the body politic is to stage political violence like this. And it's sort of, the point is to force people to take sides. And you saw that immediately in the media reaction saying, well, Trump has got to come out. He's got to say this certain thing. He's got to say the words. And of course, the trick here is that no matter how much Trump or people associated with the Trump administration or Trump supporters say that they denounce this kind of violence and they denounce white nationalism, it's not really enough, because in the eyes of a lot of Americans on the left, I think, just supporting Trump means that you've thrown your lot in with the white nationalists, which is exactly what the white nationalists are trying to do by staging these pieces of political theater and violence.
So to be clear, the white nationalists are attempting to hurt Trump's image in the association that they are trying to force upon the American public?
No, I think they're trying to get the great mass of Americans who, otherwise deplore violence to pick a side. And that's what the left is trying to do as well. You have to pick a side. You have to either be with Black Lives Matter or you have to be with Richard Spencer and the white nationalists. You can't be against them both. You can't just deplore violence on all sides. You have to pick a side. And that's the goal of this kind of violence.
And to some degree, this worked effectively, and let me explain my own experience. So I'm responding to things as they're occurring on social media over the weekend. And a buddy of mine from Texas, where I grew up, says on Sunday morning, I hope that we can all agree that the violence was one-sided and that we should all stand opposed to what happened yesterday. And I tried to say, but no, there were two sides to this, and we really should condemn all of the ones involved. And the retribution I got back was, how can you possibly say that there were two sides when it was the supremacists that started it the night before? And to your point, they had effectively, in this case, the Antifa groups, I guess, had effectively moved a great number of my friends into one category, saying, no, we're going to condemn the violence of the supremacists, but ignore the violence of the Antifa. And that's exactly what you're arguing both sides were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a tactic, it's sort of a malicious social disruption tactic that is engaged in by groups that don't actually wield very much power, but they're able to sort people out into smaller groups and pit them against each other. And this is the kind of thing that you saw in the Weimar Republic in Germany in 1930. The Nazis didn't have, broad public support. They weren't a popular group starting out in the late 1920s and early 1930s, but they managed to polarize the body politic and split Weimar up into these sort of factional, tribal, political gangs. And that is deeply anti-American. That is not what we're about here. And we have struggled with political violence here ourselves, and we've seen worse. In the late 60s and 70s, we saw left-wing political violence that killed a lot of people. So it's not new to us, but we have a way of resisting that, and that is to return to our American values, return to the Constitution and the Declaration, remind one another that we're a country where being an American is defined by a creed, not by ethnicity or national origin.
Such a good point, John Daniel Davidson, senior contributor for The Federalist. Friends, I've got it posted up on the social media. Charlottesville was a fight between the tribal right and tribal left, intended to polarize America. And you know what? It may have succeeded. This is Kevin McCullough.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
We are still looking at a lot of stop and go here in the Bronx on the southbound side of the Deegan from Van Cortlandt Park right down to the Cross Bronx Expressway. And there was a crash just to the south of the Cross Bronx. That looks to have been cleared, but we're still slow right on down towards Yankee Stadium. Don't forget, Yankees and the Mets, the first of 4 games this week between the two city rivals. The first 2 tonight and tomorrow at the stadium in the Bronx. And then it shifts to Queens for Wednesday and Thursday. Now, if you're coming from Queens, cross the RFK Triborough into the Bronx, the Deegan will greet you with lots of bumper-to-bumper RFK Triborough Bridge right up towards Yankee Stadium. Then it does shake loose just a little bit for you. Cross Bronx westbound, we're slow from the Bronx River Parkway right across to the GW Bridge. Southbound Bronx River Parkway just south of Boston Road. That's a collision. Northbound West Side Highway, we're slow from the 120s to the GW Bridge. Northbound FDR Drive, a slow ride from the 30s up towards the RFK Triborough Bridge. 45 minutes outbound at the Holland Tunnel. Looks like a 20-minute delay outbound at the Lincoln Tunnel. And now you know how not to go. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
How did Joe Piscopo start your morning?
I think everybody within that regime, from talking to all of our experts, are so afraid of this guy. I said, is it him or is it the generals? But he's like beyond royalty. He's like a god. And you know, the generals are afraid to take him out. It's very Hitler-esque. Everybody was afraid of Hitler. People understood the evil of Adolf Hitler. They tried to take him out. The most vile of creatures on the planet in Adolf Hitler and Kim Jong-un. Take him out.
Listen to Piscopo in the morning on AM 970. The Answer.
Well, if you've been paying attention to Broadway, you know there's a terrific new play called A Doll's House Part 2. Rave reviews across the board. Every single major critic in New York loved this play. And it has a new and exciting cast. These are 4 incredible actors in this terrific new American play by Lucas Nath. Fascinating, funny play. You don't want to miss it at the John Golden Theater. For tickets, go to dollshousepart2.com. That's dollshousepart2.com, and you will see what is becoming an American classic.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. You know, the last couple of weeks I had several people ask me about just my opinion on what's the best way to lose weight. And I said, guys, if you don't understand by now, when I talk about 20 to 40 plus pounds being guaranteed by my friend Dr. Kerry Skorsky and the Bay Ridge Holistic Healthcare team within 40 days, you're never going to get it. See, the thing is, if you want to lose weight, you need to have both the science and the knowledge behind your plan. And that's what Dr. Kerry Skorsky has. He's helped thousands of people overcome obstacles and able to lose the weight. And how do you know it works? Because he guarantees it. So call today. It's all natural. You rebalance your hormones. You reset your metabolism. You eat only real food. And there are every single thing that you do is doctor supervised. There's no hunger, no cravings, no drugs, no prepackaged foods. You're going to love this program. Call 844-THE-DIET, 844-THE-DIET, 844-THE-DIET. That's 844-THE-DIET. Or go to anewyouin40days.com.
Speed Queen washers and dryers, with a long history of use in laundromats and hospitals, come with an industry-leading 5-year warranty. How can we offer a warranty of such length? Because we're assuming you'll never need to use it. Not with Speed Queen's sturdy construction and commercial-quality metal components. So, enjoy your Speed Queen for 25 years. Unless you're washing bricks or drying bowling balls, which will almost certainly void the warranty. Visit us at speedqueen.com.
For nearly 100 years, folks have trusted Blue Star medicated ointment to relieve the pain and itching of almost any skin irritation.
It works on my son's dry, itching feet and their jock itch.
I had this rash on my neck. Nothing worked until Blue Star.
Blue Star worked great on my ringworm without steroids.
My wife and I have been using Blue Star for years. It's never let us down.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Listen to Joe Piscopo in the morning, weekdays at 6. Mike Gallagher at 10 on AM 970. The Answer. Breaking news as it happens. You're listening to Kevin McCullough Radio.
To be sure that this Department of Justice in his administration is going to take the most vigorous action to protect the right of people like Heather Heyer to protest against racism and bigotry.
The legal implications of what happened over the weekend of big concern across the board today. Kevin McCullough Radio, glad to have you with us. And something that was on my mind all weekend, and when we saw the car plow into the protesters, the thing that went through my head, oddly enough, was I hope he gets the death penalty because there's such an intent that seems to be on display there. But I don't know if that's the legal measure by which will be applied here. So I thought, well, I'll turn to someone I know and trust that can give me some legal perspective on this. Katie Fang is a legal analyst for MSNBC and NBC Networks. She also is a really high-profile litigator in the state of Florida, and we are glad to have her back. Katie, thank you for being here. Let's talk about the kind of range of charges, because this has been one of the more controversial things, that he was only cited for a handful of state charges and not drawn up on immediate terrorism and other federal charges. You're thinking on where the legal prosecution against this guy stands right now.
Well, sure, Kevin. So I'm not surprised that you haven't seen the immediate imposition of some type of federal charges. I was shocked, though, that the state did not immediately, or the police did not immediately arrest him for first-degree murder. There is capital homicide in Virginia. Virginia still has the imposition of the death penalty. And I, like you, when I heard that he was being held on second-degree murder, malicious wounding, and basically leaving the scene of the accident with death or bodily injury, I hate to use this adjective, but it's true for me. I was disappointed. This guy should have been immediately hit with first-degree murder charges, and the reason why, or charge of first-degree murder, is because there was premeditation on this man's part. And I know that there is this argument being made by his, who I will call co-conspirators, that he was, quote, fearing for his safety, or he was trying to escape a mob scene. But you know what? You don't run your car at 40 miles per hour or more and ram it into a crowd of people if you're scared. You go in reverse. You don't go into it,
The fact that someone came out dead on the other side, certainly a mitigating factor as well. But I guess what so I've heard a couple different theories on this. Should they then on the state level elevate the charges to a first-degree capital murder charge from second degree, and then would potential federal terrorism charges still be possibly coming following that?
Yes. So as we've seen with the D.C. sniper case, which was also prosecuted in Virginia, we have seen the ability to bring state and federal charges. Dylan Roof is another example in South Carolina who looked at state and federal charges. As a former prosecutor, I would bring the elevated charges. There is the caveat that for capital murder, it likely requires the convening of a grand jury in Virginia to return an indictment or a true bill that would support that particular count of capital murder. But what's important about what you led with, Kevin, and what I want people to understand is Jeff Sessions himself said that this fits within the definition of an act of terrorism. And in Virginia, on a state level, they can bring a capital murder charge for the death penalty if this murder was committed willfully, in a premeditated fashion, in support of an act of terrorism, and we know that fits the bill here.
Yeah, it's just hard to see that video and see the speed with which the car gains. Now, I admit you only see the car from, a certain you don't know what happened before that video started, and you kind of you can't see what happens all the way at the other end. But I'm sure there's going to be 100 other cell phones that are going to be subpoenaed, and footage will be available soon. But even in just what we have that was online, it's hard to look at that and say that even the fear for his life argument was at play, because it seemed like he came from a rather empty part of the street and plowed into a very full part of the street.
Yeah, you saw exactly what I saw. I mean, I agree. You know, this day and age, we get so much cell phone video, and it's been a blessing and a curse, I think, right? I mean, it's exonerated some people, but it's also led to a direct conviction or a direct indication of culpability. But that street was empty, and there were very few protesters and very few bodies of individuals in that street, and you could hear the revving of the engine. The engine is revving, and it is accelerating, and it is gunning towards that group. And there's a drone, actually. There's drone footage that also shows that they made that this Fields guy, that he actually directly rammed the rear of another vehicle that also hit another vehicle. I mean, it was just a chain reaction. But the reality is he was not fleeing from a scene because he was scared. He fled because he committed a crime and he killed someone. But I also want to point out something, excuse me, Kevin, that this is not probably going to fall within a hate crime statute. It's probably not going to be elevated to or enhanced as a hate crime. You need to have the specific intent that you knew something about the victim in this case in terms of their race, their religion, their gender, or whatever, and that you meant to harm that person because of those qualifying characteristics. And I don't think that happened. I think he meant to hit the group of people, and he meant to kill and harm as many people as he could, and unfortunately he succeeded.
Sure. I'm not a huge fan of hate crimes to begin with. I think anytime we start trying to discern someone's thoughts in a process, I think judging behaviors and actions and holding people accountable for them is the best way to go. So I'm actually okay with that. But here's the other thing that I am curious about, Katie, and that is you have a lot of people that encouraged this violence and kind of moving away from that specific attack. You know, there were dozens others that were grossly injured, not just in his attack, but in the violence at large. Could we be seeing other people being charged with crimes along varying degrees of accessory to, just common assault and other things that may yet go down?
Sure. So it depends on the fact-specific events around this situation. If somebody assisted Fields and actually, because when they found the vehicle, he wasn't in it anymore. Did somebody help him leave, et cetera? I mean, what we're going to look at very carefully is to see how strongly does Jeff Sessions and the Department of Justice crack down on this particular crime. I think it's going to have that chilling effect that you're going to want to see against future crimes of this nature.
I hope so, and I think that Jeff Sessions is a man of his word, so when he says that he's going to leverage the full weight of the Justice Department against it, I'm pretty confident that's going to happen. But as they say, Katie, we'll have to wait and see. You're very busy today. Thank you for taking some time out to talk with us today. We're deeply grateful.
Always. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Katie Fain, you see her on MSNBC and NBC. She's a legal analyst for them and partner in a major law firm in Florida that handles very important cases, and she continues to have the insight that we turn to here at Kevin McCullough Radio. We're so glad you're with us. Much more discussion straight ahead.
News, opinion, passion. This is AM 970, The Answer.
We have more clouds than anything else. We sit at 78 degrees on this Monday evening. What's going on? We have the answer. 5 people are injured, 2 critically, after a boat carrying 8 people crashed into a jetty near Woodbridge, New Jersey. It happened yesterday in the Arthur Kill Channel, which borders New Jersey and Staten Island. It was one of the 2 boating accidents in New Jersey yesterday. The other accident involved a speedboat that caught fire in the Shrewsbury River in Rumson. All 10 people on board jumped into the water and no one was hurt. Both incidents are under investigation. Detectives in New Jersey are trying to find the person or people responsible for killing a Jersey City teenager and injuring another person. Prosecutors say officers responded to shots fired yesterday afternoon at 322 Forest Street. Jahari Broadway had multiple gunshot wounds, and the 19-year-old was pronounced dead a short time later. A second person is recovering from non-life-threatening injuries after being shot. A man is facing charges after allegedly stabbing another man to death over a parking spot in Brooklyn. Scott Pringle has more.
Police say Omar Dahan came home to find his driveway blocked on East 73rd Street in Bergen Beach late Sunday night. He honked his horn. A man came out of a house and started arguing with him. That man, later identified as Jean Paul Gems, allegedly pulled a knife and plunged it into Hans's chest, killing him, and then stuck the blade into the arm of Dahan's brother. Police caught up with the suspect trying to flee the country at the airport. Gems now faces manslaughter and other charges.
In sports, Yankees and the Mets get together 4 times this week in their annual Subway Series. First 2 are in the Bronx, and Game 1 is tonight at 7:05. Let's get you to that game in the Bronx. Northbound Deegan jammed up RFK Triborough right up towards the stadium. Southbound's better now, south of the Cross Bronx, now that an accident has been cleared. Northbound West Side Highway, that's slow from the 120s up to the GW Bridge. Mostly cloudy skies tonight, overnight low of 70. Cloudy skies tomorrow, chance of showers in the afternoon, high 83. Sunshine on Wednesday with a high of 91. And now you know what's going on. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
For our Ask the Lawyer friends and listeners, you can attend any of Connors & Sullivan's free seminars on elder law, Medicaid, wills and estate planning, and more.
Yes, it's all free. So come to Connors & Sullivan's free seminars.
On Tuesday, August 15th at Connolly's Corner, 71-17 Grand Avenue in Maspeth, Queens at 11 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. At Lenny's Clam Bar, 161-03 Cross Bay Boulevard in Howard Beach, Queens on Wednesday, August 16th at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And on Friday, August 18th at the Adria, 221-17 Northern Boulevard in Bayside, Queens at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Can't go to any Connors & Sullivan's free seminars? Then call Connors & Sullivan at 718-238-6500 for your own free office appointment.
Make an educated decision on your estate and family legal solutions today. Call Connors & Sullivan at 718-238-6500 or go to connorsandsullivan.com. Connors & Sullivan. Plan now for later.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. So I'm riding back from Washington, D.C. on the train just 2 days ago. And when someone turned and asked me about something that I said, you know what? I get the feeling you didn't get a very good night's sleep last night. Now, it's a rude thing to say early in a conversation, but it opened up this deeper conversation about this person's inability to get a good night's sleep. And I said, friend, I want you to understand something. When I go on the road, I've got the MyPillow travel pillow with me. When I'm at home, I've got the MyPillow deluxe pillows on my bed. And anywhere I go, I get the guaranteed best sleep of my life or my money back. They looked at me as if to say, what? Are you from Mars? No, I'm not. If you call MyPillow today, you're going to see how it works. But friends, you won't know unless you call. They're going to warranty your pillow for 10 years. They're going to guarantee the results 60 days, money back, no questions asked regardless. And they're going to say to you, if you don't get the best night's sleep, our name isn't MyPillow.com. So call right now. 1-800-506-2641. 1-800-506-2641. 800-506-2641. Use promo code AM970 and make sure you tell them that Kevin McCullough sent you when you call 1-800-506-2641. 800-506-2641. 1-800-506-2641.
Proving that he may be ready for prime time. Frank Morano. Sunday mornings at 4 on AM 970. The Answer. What you need to know when you need it. It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
Now, what's interesting about that cut from Donald Trump, that's earlier today, and everybody came, he finally identified. Actually, he didn't really do anything different in that statement than what he said on Saturday. People don't realize it, but he didn't. He specified a few, and then he added after that, and all other groups that hate and, do this. Which is in essence saying every group that operates with hate, every group that operates with racial animus, they're all evil. Which is what he said on Saturday. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. But that's not good enough. If you're on social media today, and I made the mistake of jumping onto my dear man Alex's social media feed, you get idiots that go, he didn't say the KKK 3 days ago, so he was sympathetic to the KKK in the 3 days. And I just want to put a fork through my temple. Someone who may help me with the outcome of this is Dr. Gina Loudon. She joins us on Mondays to discuss. Dr. Gina, for the record, and I don't claim to have a PhD, but if I say that I'm against evil, all forms of evil, that includes specific groups of evil that may find themselves within the purview of that evil, does it not?
Yeah, here's the thing, Kevin. These people, the problem is they're bitter and they're angry because they lost an election and because Trump is winning over minorities, because he has opened the eyes of people, for example, in the city of Detroit, where the economy is booming, coming back for real. And Democrats are starting to wake up to the fact that maybe they're not Democrats, because maybe they've just been chopped up into little sections of humanity based on their race or their gender or other ridiculous things by people who want to control them. And they figured that out. And so they resent that, and they're trying to pin this on President Trump. What happened on Saturday is no more the responsibility or liability of this president than the Black Lives Matter murdering cops are the fault of Obama. And in fact, much less so, because our president has called for unity. Obama kind of sat idly by and let the hate groups exist and even in some cases showed compassion for them. But I would submit to you, Kevin, that had this president come out and identified these groups the first day, everyone would have said, look, he's elevating them. He's giving them national attention. That's what they wanted. See, he's really part of them. He controls them. Well, let me say something. Almost every day since this president became president, I've heard him on TV heralding the praises of blue lives mattering, of our first responders and our police officers and those sorts of people. Enemy number one of all white supremacists are the police. So none of their ridiculous arguments make sense, not even to them. They are silly on their face, and that's why they continue to lose.
Here's what I kind of see Saturday as being. It was a contest. You had about 100 white supremacists that were doing their stupid stuff. And then almost on trigger, like they knew it was going to happen, Antifa and Black Lives Matter show up, and they're on the other side. And then they have this fight, and this guy drives this car into the crowd and kills somebody, and he should go to jail and get the death penalty if possible. But you have, it's like the contest of who can be the most heinous, the most stupid, and the most evil. And I just think that as an average, everyday American citizen, we should condemn everybody involved with it. Say, don't do this anymore. We're gonna throw the penalty book at everybody that broke the law in some way, and then move on with life. It just doesn't represent any mainstream political view of any party in operation right now.
Right. Well, they want to forget all about the actual goal of civil rights, which was to be colorblind, to be truly colorblind, not to, give special favors anywhere or special judgment upon any race or any of the following. It was supposed to be about being colorblind. You'll never hear a Democrat say that today, because the way they control the black vote and the way they keep them poor and exert their plantation politics on them today isn't by slavery that is outward. It's by slavery that is concealed and hidden. They want to control them by making them into victims, keeping them exactly where they are, keeping them poor, keeping their real rights for like the pursuit of happiness, the higher rights away from black people so that they will continue to vote Democrat. That's the dirty little secret that Democrats don't want you to know. And that's why they made this into such a divisive political issue, Kevin, when it should have been about the victims in the first place.
Well, it's very interesting to see what happens, and I'm hoping that, the rhetoric has calmed down. I hope that the criminal process will proceed. I hope that justice wins out, because I still believe that America is the greatest hope that the world has. And at the end of the day, I think that, we're on a path that is, and certainly the markets and other things are not responding with any kind of panic. Dr. Gina, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, Kevin. Thank you.
See you tonight on America Trends on U2 America. This is Kevin McCullough.
Even on Sundays, it's okay to laugh.
And it is a beautiful morning in America because we have this amazing, stupendous, tremendous, incredible coffee machine. Right now I'm drinking, I don't even know what it was. It's delicious. This is an oasis in a coffee desert.
Laugh by listening to Morano in the morning, every Sunday morning starting at 4, right after Hollywood 360 on AM 970. The Answer.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. Do you have back pain? Do you have pain that you wrestle with, you struggle with, it bothers you, it keeps you awake at night? Sometimes you just don't know what to do. You take the pain medication, you do the things that people say to do, and yet it doesn't seem to get better. Friends, if your spine is not healthy, your body's not going to be healthy. And that's the one thing I learned from Dr. Melinda Keller, who helped me a number of years ago begin to understand that my spine is critical to my overall health. And that's why she wants your spine to be healthy as well. Friends, if you've had people suggest surgery and shots, you need to forego those things and get an immediate appointment with Dr. Melinda Keller. Because through all natural decompression, it might be possible for her to relieve that pain and to make your spine healthy again without the invasive procedures. Call her today, set up your appointment, and tell her that Kevin McCullough told you to call when you do. 800-707-5010. That's 800-707-5010. 1-800-707-5010. 800-707-5010. Or go to brooklynspinecenter.com.
You're waiting on a sweltering platform. You're stuck in a packed train. Again. The summer of hell for commuters is making you late for work and costing you money. What are the people in charge doing about it? The governor is denying responsibility. The mayor is running away and shifting blame. And the state legislature is on vacation. It's time to reclaim your commute. It's time to reclaim New York. Go to reclaimnynow.org. Join the fight. Tell the politicians it's time to fix the MTA. Go to reclaimnynow.org today. That's reclaimnynow.org. Paid for by Reclaim New York.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I've had 10 major surgeries, including 3 brain surgeries. And I have extreme rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and fibromyalgia. And I wanted to let him know that his balance of nature have helped boost my immune system so much because I'm on injectable medications for the rheumatoid, and they burn your immune system. Since I've been taking Balance of Nature, I haven't gotten a cold, nothing. It really helped me tremendously.
Good health is only a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Don't miss your opportunity to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code THEANSWER.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
AM 970, The Answer.
Look around, how lucky we are to be alive right now. Look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. History is happening in Manhattan, and we just happen to be in the greatest city in the world. In the greatest city in the world.
If it's happening in New York or across the globe, learn why it matters first on Kevin McCullough Radio.
Well, in the midst of a world that is ever increasingly on edge, whether it be from violence in our own borders or the potential for nuclear war with North Korea, we certainly live in tense days. No slow dog days of summer this year, that's for sure. And that may be reflected nowhere better than what's going on in the markets. And So I wanted to turn to David Fischer today, as we do on every Money Monday, and get some perspective on this. David is the CEO of Landmark Capital, and he joins us to talk about dollars on Monday afternoons. David, it's good to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me this afternoon on your program.
Let's talk about the kind of heated rhetoric that has gone back and forth between President Trump and Kim Jong-un over the last week. I personally don't like it when American presidents come off kind of sissified, but some people have said that Trump's rhetoric is too macho. So how has that debate and discussion, even if it's been proxy and on Twitter and otherwise, how has that affected the markets?
Well, obviously, we've never been in this environment, but it has had an effect on the market. Some stock people say we've been in the calmest stretch of stocks since the 1960s. I think there's been a lot of volatility, personally, but it certainly has escalated with the comments from President Trump and Kim Jong-un. It has escalated what you call the VIX index. Last week, we had a 2% drop in stocks globally, pretty much across the board, while there was a sharp and sudden rise in the VIX, about 70% in just 2 days. So, and just to back up 1 second, Kevin, explain to the listeners what the VIX is. It's based out of the Chicago Board of Exchange. It's an index that measures how volatile the market is looking 30 days into the future. So when the number is high, when it spikes 70%, they're saying, investors and traders are saying, that we're going to have some bumpy roads within the next 30 days. So it spikes 70% while the market's adjusted back 2%.
Well, and that's, I guess, kind of understandable if you have someone that's kind of crazy like Kim Jong-un, and now we find out he's got a missilable weapon and an ICBM to launch it with. I mean, that's, I would imagine that there would be some volatility. But if we did go to war, what would that do to the markets? Talk to us about the practical aspect of that.
Well, the survey was done recently. 62% of Americans see a very serious threat as coming from North Korea, and that represents a bigger chunk of America. Therefore, those invested in stocks would probably it would affect the market negatively. History has proven markets, and when war breaks out, it's not initially good for markets. Stocks pull back. Usually gold moves up, and we had almost a $40 movement in gold last week, $35 and change. I think that's what would happen initially. Then the markets would calm down, adjust properly, and then it would probably be, if it was a longer-term war, historically, that is good for stocks. So it's good for economies, too. So I think there would be some big bumps, but then things would simmer down.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, I think a lot of people's minds are on the domestic side of this day's worth of news, but that North Korean story is not going away. In fact, it was in the top two headlines of the day for most of the news outlets today as the China and North Korea and U.S. discussion goes forward. Let's talk about markets from a simpler perspective, because it's something that you track each week. If somebody put 10,000 into the Dow versus silver versus gold at the beginning of the year, where do we stand?
Well, the Dow would be up 9.9%, or worth $10,990. Silver would be up 7.8%, or $10,780. And gold is leading the charge at 10.5%. It would be up to $11,050. So here we are in a huge bull market in stocks. And gold is slightly outperforming it year to date, and I think we're going to see it perform better in gold because the best part of performance in gold is the last 6 months of the year, and September is the biggest performing month of all.
Well, it'll be interesting to see as we come into September exactly how that impacts, particularly if the volatility continues to stay where it's at. So the Fed is scheduled to talk later this week. Any insight on what we think the chairwoman has on her mind?
Well, I think she's going to talk at least about two things and maybe three. First one is going to be the balance sheet, and the second one is what they're going to do with interest rates. As far as the balance sheet, they're going to talk about when they're going to start to unravel the selling off of their Fed balance sheet. When will be the start date? That's what they call it, for normalization. It's going to take a while, probably 4 or 5 years is what Fed chairman has alluded to previously, and they're not going to get back to where they were before at $550 billion before this quantitative easing that they're currently at $4.5 trillion, but they're going to start to sell treasuries and also mortgage-backed securities, but mostly treasuries. So that's one. Rates, they're probably not going to raise rates. They're talking about a neutral rate being on the table now, which means they're not going to lower rates, not going to raise rates. They saw what the effect negatively had on the market previously this year when they raised rates, and for some reason the market can't handle that and people are trying to figure out why that is the case. So I think they're going to not raise rates. But the third thing they might possibly talk about is how banks are prepared in the banking system for a crisis because of the recent report that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac might need $100 billion coming up in a bailout. So that came out in Bloomberg News.
Friends, he's got a new newsletter out. It's titled He Who Holds the Gold Makes All the Rules. You can get a free copy of that when you call 844-604-2575 or touch him online at landmarkgold.com. 844-604-2575. David Fischer, thanks for being here.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer.
We are looking at stop and go on the northbound West Side Highway as you travel north of 96th Street up to the George Washington Bridge, with the heaviest stretch being from the 120s up into the 150s. Riverside Drive's actually not a bad choice as a West Side Uptown alternative. FDR generally slow northbound from the 30s up to the George Washington Bridge. Southbound Bronx River Parkway, a couple of accidents between Boston Road and the Cross County. That's really messing things up there on the southbound side of the Bronx River Parkway coming out of Westchester County. Westbound Cross Bronx were loaded up from the Bronx River Parkway to the George Washington Bridge. And we have the Yankees and the Mets getting together tonight. First of 4 games this week between the two city rivals. First 2 tonight and tomorrow are at the stadium in the Bronx, and lots of Mets fans and lots of Yankee fans heading to the big ballpark. Northbound Deegan slow, RFK Triborough Bridge up to the stadium. Southbound we're slow from the Cross Bronx right on down towards the stadium. 45 minutes outbound at the Holland Tunnel, 15 minutes in, 20 minutes each way at the Lincoln. And now you know how not to go. I am Mike Barker on AM 970, The Answer.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. If you're planning an engagement party or wedding or corporate event, birthday or anniversary party, bar, bat mitzvah, why not consider having it on a luxury private yacht? Your guests will be very impressed, and the memories will last a lifetime. Let my friend Francesca find you the yacht that's best for your event. We use her around Salem Media, New York all the time, and she just knows how to put that perfect touch of class to every one of our special occasions. She has beautiful vessels in her fleet that can accommodate from 2 to over 1,000, and guests can board at lots of convenient locations throughout the metropolitan area. Private yacht not in your budget? How about a deck charter? Fran's yachts are fully insured and Coast Guard certified. So visit Fran's Touch of Class to see the range of yachts in her fleet and give her a call, find out about your options. Fran will fill you in on the yachts, describe the delicious cuisine, and give you the details of the services provided. Call her today and add that extra touch of class to your event. 212-385-9400. 212-385-9400. Or franstouchofclass.com.
Well, if you've been paying attention to Broadway, you know there's a terrific new play called A Doll's House Part 2. Rave reviews across the board. Every single major critic in New York loved this play. And it has a new and exciting cast. Julie White, who won a Tony Award for The Little Dog Laughed, one of my favorite actresses. She's joining the cast now. And Stephen McKinley Henderson, a wonderful actor. I remember him in Fences with Denzel Washington a few seasons back. And also Erin Willamy, a very good in a revival of The Crucible. She's joining A Doll's House Part 2, and the great actress Jane Howdyshell, she is remaining with the company. These are 4 incredible actors you do not want to miss in this terrific new American play by Lucas Nath that picks up the Ibsen classic A Doll's House 15 years later when Nora comes back into the lives of the people she had abandoned. Fascinating, funny play. You don't want to miss it at the John Golden Theater. For tickets, go to dollshousepart2.com. That's dollshousepart2.com, and you will see what is becoming an American classic.
Jay Sekulow live is next on AM 970. The Answer. What you need to know when you need it. It's Kevin McCullough Radio.
So glad you're with us, Kevin McCullough. I hate having to address the types of story that dominated the headlines over the weekend on a broadcast like today, but it's something that has to happen because when you see obvious defects in mankind, when you see obvious deficiencies in the character of people, and they end up taking someone's life, then it's time to speak up and speak out. And if nothing else happened this weekend, the one thing that I guess was good is that we started talking about what it means to really see people for who they are again. See, when you see someone treating people with a sense of injustice, with a sense of lack of fairness, there should be something in you that triggers a very negative emotion. There should be something in you that says this isn't right. It needs to be changed. We must speak up. And that's no doubt what some of the people on both sides thought they were arguing for, although I have to say I don't really view this weekend as a good thing for America when it comes to significant messages of what took place in the protests. But in the observation of the protests and in the consequences of those protests, I think we should learn some lessons. And one of those, most importantly, is, folks, listen very, very carefully, very closely. Don't let the people that are trying to put you into tribes, put you on this side of an issue, put you on that side of an issue, don't let the people that want to easily label you allow them to have access to the totality of who you are. See, the tribalists have a goal in mind, and it is to flip us against one another. It is to make us, quote, change sides or to come to their enlightenment. It's happening on social media. I see it on Twitter and Facebook even today. It happened all weekend long. Take a stand for what is just. And in the case of white supremacy, we label that evil. And in the place of black supremacy, we label that evil. And when one group says you deserve to be treated as less than because you are XYZ, fill in the blank, then we must call that out as evil. It is important, particularly if you're a person of faith, to not associate God with these unjust categorizations either. Friends, don't let the tribalists do what they want to do to get you on, quote, their side. Condemn all the violence. Jail every evildoer that carried out any degree of crime this weekend. And then let us all commit ourselves to living our lives with more integrity and more compassion for humankind. It's the only solution that will actually fix the problem. And that's my prayer. I'm Kevin McCullough. We'll see you next time.